Pro boxing fans, we are here in Manchester. It is fight week. It's the last dance for the man, Derek Chisora, the cult hero. You know, a lot of people love him, man.
I love him. How can you not love him? It's quite sad, really. Like, you can see him in the background. He's life and soul. You can't see him in the background, sorry. But he's life and soul of the party. He's got some country music playing. He's got the press eating out the palm of his hand. Photographers taking what appear to be topless photos of Derek Chisora. He's in great shape, by the way.
He is.
That's another thing. Mate, I'm going to miss Derek Chisora. I'm going to miss all these guys. They're retiring. They're coming to the end. We're coming to the end of an era. And we just need to make sure that we just enjoy every moment. Because before you know it, they'll be gone.
Let's talk about the fight first, because we can talk about his career and what he's done, but he's got a tricky southpaw in there in Otto Wallin. A lot of people at that press conference, and fair enough, it was giving Derek his plaudits for his career, but we've got to also talk about the man on the other side of the ring in Otto Wallin. Tricky southpaw, man.
Mate, it's not like, it was one of those where you almost forget that there's a fight going on Saturday. This was like a Derek Chisora party. This was like a Derek Chisora party, a coronation, a celebration, rather than a pre-fight press conference 48 hours from having a very tricky southpaw, as you say, in the opposite corner. Derek's got to switch on, and I'm sure he will. Yesterday at the workout, he said, tomorrow I'll switch into violence mode. That wasn't violence mode up there. That was still, as we've got brilliant songs playing. Which one's that? I Did It My Way. My God. But yeah, he's got to switch at some point. He says that it's going to be emotional for him. He says that he may even shed a tear, literally before the first bell. So I would hope he switches on soon, because as you say, Otto Wallin is serious. He's only lost to two of the very best heavyweights of this generation in Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, and he's serious. He's coming to win.
But talking about Derek, we know what he brings. He suffocates opponents. I was watching Joseph Parker doing a great podcast, by the way, with Darren Barker. It's called First Round TV, and
I made it all the way through. It's great. Yeah.
I've got to say, amazing podcast. I was watching it last night, and one thing he said about Derek Chisora was he does suffocate you. He's basically on your toes at all times throughout the 12 rounds. It seems like whilst people might want him to hang up his gloves, and I've been calling for that as well. You don't want fighters to carry on too long, but he still has that dog in him. He still has that fight spirit where he's on your toes for 12 rounds.
Look, go and ask Alexander Usyk, right? I mean, he gave Usyk hell. He made Usyk go like, oh, this guy's really big and strong afterwards. He knew he was in a fight at the end of that. So, and if you don't believe Usyk, why don't you go back and ask Vitaly Klitschko, and he gave Vitaly Klitschko his hardest fight since Lennox Lewis. He just brings war, but with that he brings entertainment, and it's going to be a problem for Otto Wallin on Saturday. I know Derek says that he doesn't like to fight southpaws, he doesn't want to be tracking down southpaws and stuff like that, but against Usyk he did okay. Against Spilka, he just knocked him clean out. I think they're the last two southpaws that he's been in with. But Otto Wallin, I don't know, there's something about him. He's either so cool and confident that he just doesn't care, or maybe he is rattled a little bit. I can't quite figure it out. All the face-offs that they've had, where Derek's just inundating him with questions. What restaurants do you go to in New York? Do you like Indian food? What was your birthday cake like? All of these mad things where Otto's having to think on his feet. It's like, oh shit, what restaurants do I go to? Like just mad stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know what state of mind he's in, but I can't wait to find out.
I do want to talk about heavyweights, because Queensberry promotion seems to have them all, man. They seem to have the big boys. Tyson Fury, I do want to talk about him, and obviously he's announced his retirement. I spoke to Frank. I'm trying to see what's going on with Tyson. There might be more to the story, but listen, he's saying he's happy. He wants to spend time with his kids. But is it sad to see if Tyson now has hung up the gloves? That it's sad to see that we've seen a great fighter leave a little bit earlier than we anticipated.
It's tough, because I'm a big Tyson Fury fanboy. If he's happy, then great. If he's at peace, then fantastic. Right now, he says that he's retired. So look, I believe him. I believe that that's what he's saying right now. I just don't know, and you can't predict what Tyson Fury's going to do. No, I remember once upon a time he was doing interviews and he talks about retiring like, undefeated at the time and then coming back when he's like an old man or 40 plus and beating the heavyweight champion and doing that kind of thing. I don't know where his mind's at right now. If that is it for Tyson Fury, for me it's good. It's good, and also it's good in the sense that he's happy, he's at peace. But it's also sad. The same way with Derek Chisora would be sad as well. It's that end of an era, right? And they don't make them like Derek Chisora and Tyson Fury anymore. Sure, there's characters coming through, and boxing will survive, right? But we have lived through a golden era here of massive, massive characters who know how to speak to the casual fan, who know how to get the attention of the general public. And not just Tyson, Derek, all these guys, AJ, Dillian White. At some point, we've got to say goodbye to them. Well, Usyk's cool. Usyk's just like, I don't think Usyk's retiring anytime soon.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a good point. I did speak to Alex Krasic at the Undisputed Party and said, listen, he's not going anywhere, but he is sort of just looking at his option. He doesn't need to rush back, is sort of words coming out from that camp.
That's it. He's king of the world right now, Alexander Usyk. So who knows? But yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
Whilst we talk about an era possibly coming to an end, and it will be coming to an end within the next 2 years anyway, there's one man that stands out there and seems to have caught the likings of the British public, the fans in general, and Turki Alalshikh in Moses Itauma. And talk to me about this guy, man. He looks ruthless. He's talking a lot on the mic, a lot more. He's doing interviews where you can tell that the aggression is there. He's looking to knock people's heads off. Give me your thoughts on Moses Itauma and how quickly do you think, Turkey wants to push him and Frank wants to push him to that world opportunity?
I think Moses is. I think he's incredible. I think he's got this quiet kind of confidence about him. And we are seeing that actually he's a great talker as well, and he expresses himself very well. And I think that he is getting the attention of the casual fan now as well. His age and what he's doing is unbelievable. That what he did to Dempsey McKean. I mean, look, you saw it. And Dempsey McKean took Hrgovic 12 rounds, and Hrgovic got him out there in the end. Hrgovic, Olympic bronze medalist, once upon a time, not so long ago, boogeyman of the division. Moses Itauma just cleaned this guy out of there like he's nobody, and this is what he seems to do. He's almost like an Usyk with more power, and if you've got that, that's quite something. I can't wait to see where this journey goes, but I think it won't be long till he's world heavyweight champion.
Final two from myself before I let you go. Daniel Dubois. We are going to talk about Daniel a lot more in Riyadh and Joseph Parker. It seems like a few people are waiting on the results of that fight. We're hearing that maybe Anthony Joshua is waiting for the results of that fight. I spoke to Alex Krasic, like I told you before, and he said, listen, there isn't many options for Alexander now, and potentially he wants to become undisputed again. So the winner of that fight is the potential opponent for Usyk. But do you feel like with Daniel that he loves this moment? Like we've seen a lot more smile on his face. He's talking a lot more in front of the camera. But do you feel like he cherishes this period of his career more than others?
I think so, and I also think that he's desperate for it to not end, because everyone has their time in the sun. Daniel Dubois currently has that. He feels like his confidence is sky high. He looks 10 feet tall. Every time I see him, he just seems to have this ear-to-ear smile. He's piping up at press conferences. He's saying great things to his opponents in the build-up. He's great right now, and I'm loving it, and I think he's loving it as well. Tough fight, though, in Joe Parker. I know people are saying that maybe he's overlooking Joe Parker. I'm not so sure that he is. I think we're seeing a new Daniel Dubois who is a bit more commercially tuned in to what he needs to do to become a megastar, and doing things like grabbing a mic off of Alexander Usyk after he's just beaten Tyson Fury with all those millions of people watching. Well, all those millions of people watching, if they didn't before, now they all know who Daniel Dubois is, and he's set the scene for a future fight. That's just what you've got to do. So fair play to him, but I do think he's got a tough task in Joe Parker. It's number 2 versus number 3 in the world if Tyson Fury's retired.
Just a final one. Looks like Canelo and Crawford is off from, I got told There was an agreement in place supposedly, and then obviously after the Derek Chisora scrum that we just did, I got told it's been called off, but it seems like it's going to be Jake Paul and Canelo. That's interesting because a couple of years ago when Jake Paul was shouting Canelo's name, everyone's like, "This guy's crazy, man. It's never going to happen." And it looks like in May this year, or May, or sometime in summer, that's going to happen. What do you make of this whole Jake Paul journey and where he's got to right now, especially now with this Canelo fight?
I'm curious. I'll be watching it. I'm not entirely sure why one of the greatest fighters of this era is wasting their time fighting someone like Canelo.
Oh, money, of course, money.
Did you what I said?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what. I just got that now.
You killed my little gag there. Killed my little gag. No, listen. Jake Paul is a genius. Okay. He's done so much for himself, but for women's boxing as well. I like the guy. When I'm around the guy, I enjoy his company. I enjoyed interviews that I've done with him. I think he's cool. I think he's great. I think commercially it's a fight that actually makes sense to Canelo. It's probably his biggest fight available to him, which is quite something and really speaks to Jake Paul's fame, because that's what it is. It's Canelo fighting someone very famous who can fight a little bit and has captured the attention of the public. And it's certainly captured my attention. Could I see it going past 3 rounds? Canelo would need to be at his very best.
Dev, stop it. All right, but look, I'm not even going to discredit. I'm not going to discredit Jake Paul because what he's done is he's actually shown love to the sport. A lot of people just thought this YouTuber's come in and he's just going to make a bit of money and run away like everyone else. But what he's done is he's actually looked after fighters. He's looked after. Look, you can ask Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano how much they got paid and how many eyes were on their fight. So fair play to Jake Paul. For Canelo though, do you feel like this?
Also, just on that, he also brought Netflix to boxing. He is constantly innovating. I'm a big fan of everything that he's doing. So fair play, Jake Paul.
You reckon we still see that Crawford fight though? I assume that if anyone's going to make a fight, it's going to be Turki Alalshikh, and look, I'm sure he's going to have a conversation with both men.
It's interesting because Canelo is he's approaching 35, or he might be 35. He still looks in tremendous shape. He's still knocking guys out, or certainly knocking them down on route to beating them. His contenders around him, Munguia and it was Belanga that he fought as well. So he still seems to be, maybe not at his best, but somewhere near his best. But then you start looking around and you think, who are the best available opponents? What are his biggest fights? It's probably why Jake Paul's popped up, right? Bivol, I don't know, does he need to see Bivol again? Does he need to see, I don't think he needs to see Artur Beterbiev. I don't think anyone really needs to see him, especially a smaller guy. It's Benavidez, right? But he doesn't seem to want to give Benavidez the fight. Doesn't want to give him the payday of the fight. So it kind of just leaves you with Crawford. Can you think of anyone else like
the only name that pops out is Benavidez, and that's a fight that people have maybe wanted, but look, it's Canelo's the main man, so he makes that decision. Right?
The highest profile one, the one with the most intrigue, is Crawford amongst that. Maybe in a couple of fights' time, it'll be Hamza Shiraz. You never know. It could be something like that. They've talked about it.
I love how you throw that Queensberry twist. You've got to do it though, Deb, right?
Hey, that would be maybe that's a case of like a kind of Roberto Duran against Thomas Hearns. Come on. Dwyer said that actually, Dwyer. Yeah, he's done a whole video about it. It was a couple of years ago, before Hamza was even like as big as he is now. He was like calling this big time. I love Dwyer. Dwyer and his prophecies is mad. But yeah, do I hope to see Canelo versus Crawford? Yes. Very intrigued by it. Can Crawford keep Canelo off of him for 12 rounds? That's what it feels like to me, because I don't think Crawford can hurt Canelo. So it'll be a very long night of just trying to keep away from the fella.
Interesting stuff. Right, Dev, always a pleasure talking to you. A big fight on Saturday night. Then, obviously, then we fly out to Saudi, man. Big card. We'll talk then about that card. Thank you very much for your time. And speak to you soon, mate.
Good to see you, mate. Good to see you.